She went undercover as a maid to discover the truth behind the accusations against her client, and what she found transformed her fight for justice in unexpected ways. The rain pounded hard against the windows of Olivia Thompson's elegant office, the youngest lawyer ever promoted to partner at the prestigious New York firm. As she watched the city lights reflecting in the puddles below, an inexplicable restlessness washed over her. Little did Olivia know that a new journey was about to begin, one that would change her life forever. The next day, Olivia took on an unusual case. James Harris, a humble janitor accused of corporate espionage against TechNova Industries. The evidence seemed solid, but something in his eyes, a mix of fear and sincerity, piqued her curiosity. "I didn't do any of it," he said, his voice trembling. "Please believe me." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. There was a genuine urgency in James's words that she couldn't ignore. Against her colleague's advice, she decided to dig deeper. His words echoed in her mind as she walked through the bustling streets. "My daughter depends on me. I can't lose everything for something I didn't do." Determined to uncover the truth, Olivia came up with a bold idea. She'd disguise herself as a janitor at TechNova to get a closer look at the environment and the people who might be behind the setup. It was risky, but she knew it was the only way to get information the courts couldn't provide. That night, dressed in a simple uniform and carrying a bucket and broom, Olivia slipped in through the back doors of TechNova's towering building. The smell of cleaning products and the distant hum of machines surrounded her. Fluorescent lights cast a cold glow on the empty corridors, and each of her footsteps echoed like anxious drumming. While cleaning a conference room, she heard muffled voices coming from the hallway. She quickly hid behind the slightly open door. Two men in expensive suits were talking in urgent whispers. "If anyone finds out about the files, we're done for," one said. The other replied, "Don't worry, the scapegoat is already in place. No one will suspect us." Olivia's heart raced. This could be the proof she needed. But who were they? And what were their real plans? Uncertainty and fear began to mix with fierce determination. She was on the right track, but she knew every move had to be calculated. In the days that followed, Olivia kept up her disguise, gathering bits of conversations and discarded documents. She befriended Rosa, a veteran janitor with kind eyes and a sad smile. "You're new here, aren't you?" Rosa asked. "Yeah," Olivia replied, trying to sound casual. "Just trying to make a living." Rosa sighed. "Everyone here has their own battles, but some are tougher than others." There was a depth to Rosa's words that intrigued Olivia. Maybe she knew more than she let on. One night, as they cleaned together, a soft melody echoed down the hallway. "That song," Olivia murmured. Rosa smiled wistfully. "My mother used to sing it to me when I was a child. It's a song about hope in hard times." The melody seemed to stir something inside Olivia, a distant memory she couldn't quite grasp. But there was no time for distractions. Time was running out, and James was still locked up for a crime he didn't commit. Determined to solve the mystery, Olivia knew she was getting closer to a dark truth, one that could not only free James but also expose corruption far deeper than she had imagined. And as the rain began to fall again over the city that never sleeps, she prepared to face the challenges ahead, unaware that her own life was about to change in an irreversible way. Morning light filtered through Olivia's apartment window, casting a soft glow over stacks of legal briefs and empty coffee cups. She rubbed her temples, the weight of James's case pressing heavily on her mind. Those whispers she'd overheard at TechNova replayed like a broken record. Who were those men, and how deep did this conspiracy go? Determined to get answers, Olivia slipped back into her janitor's uniform that evening. The navy jumpsuit was a stark contrast to her usual tailored suits, but it served its purpose. As she entered TechNova's gleaming lobby, she couldn't shake the feeling that every security camera was watching her a little too closely. "Evening, newbie," called out a familiar voice. Rosa, the seasoned janitor with laugh lines and tired eyes, gave her a warm smile. "Ready for another night in the trenches?" Olivia forced a chuckle. "As ready as I'll ever be." They grabbed their carts and headed to the elevators. "So what brings you to this fine establishment?" Rosa asked, pressing the button for the 15th floor. "Just needed a change of pace," Olivia replied evasively. Rosa gave her a knowing look. Everyone's got a story, honey. You'll tell me yours when you're ready. As they parted ways, Olivia made her way to the executive suites. The hallways were eerily quiet, the hum of fluorescent lights the only sound. She swiped a keycard she'd borrowed from an unattended desk and slipped into the office of one of the executives she suspected. Inside, sleek furniture and abstract art screamed wealth and power. On the desk sat a folder marked confidential. Olivia's heart pounded as she snapped photos of documents detailing offshore accounts and mysterious transactions. Just then, voices echoed from the hallway. Panicking, she ducked into a supply closet adjacent to the office. "I told you, the Harris situation is under control," a man's voice said sharply. Another voice responded, "It better be. If this blows up, it's your head on the line." Olivia held her breath, every muscle tense. The footsteps faded, and she exhaled slowly. This was bigger than she thought. Later in the break room, Rosa found her staring blankly at a vending machine. "You okay?" she asked gently. "Yeah, just long night," Olivia mumbled. Rosa studied her for a moment. "You know, I've been working here for 20 years, seeing people come and go, but you're different." Olivia looked up, meeting her gaze. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you don't have the look of someone who's settled for this kind of work," Rosa said softly. "You're searching for something." Feeling a wave of vulnerability, Olivia sighed. "You're right, I'm not who I seem," Rosa nodded slowly. "Figured as much. Care to share?" "I'm a lawyer," Olivia admitted. "I'm trying to help someone who's been set up." Rosa's eyes widened. "Is it James Harris?" "Yes, you know him?" "Of course. He's a good man. Always talks about his little girl," Rosa said, a hint of sadness in her voice. "Why would anyone frame him?" "That's what I'm trying to find out," Olivia said. "But I can't do it alone." Rosa glanced around before leaning in. "Meet me after the shift. There's something you need to see." Hours later, they stood in a dusty storage room in the building's basement. Boxes piled high, labeled with years and department codes. "What's all this?" Olivia whispered. "Old records," Rosa said. "They think out of sight means out of mind." Rosa pulled out a box labeled 2005 Personnel. Inside were files that told a different story about TechNova's history. Reports of accidents covered up, employees silenced. "Why are you showing me this?" Olivia asked, a mix of awe and confusion. "Because people like us, we're tired of being stepped on," Rosa said firmly. "If they're framing James, they need to be stopped." Suddenly, the sound of approaching footsteps and muffled voices sent a jolt of fear through them. "Someone's coming," Rosa hissed. "We have to go." They grabbed as many files as they could, shoving them into a duffel bag. Racing down a narrow hallway, they found a service exit. Just as they burst outside, a security guard spotted them. "Hey, stop right there." "Run," Olivia shouted. They sprinted across the dimly lit parking lot, adrenaline pumping. Ducking into a nearby alley, they pressed themselves against the wall, hearts pounding. "I think we lost him," Olivia gasped. Rosa clutched the bag tightly. "This is serious, they'll come after us." "I won't let anything happen to you," Olivia promised. "We need to get this to someone we can trust." Rosa gave a shaky nod. "I know a reporter. Someone who hates TechNova as much as we do." Back at Olivia's apartment, they spread the documents across the kitchen table. Photos, memos, transaction records. It was a gold mine of corruption. "With this, we can clear James's name," Olivia said, hopes swelling in her chest. "And maybe take down the people who've been ruining lives for years," Rosa added. Just then, Olivia's phone buzzed. A blocked number. She hesitated before answering. A distorted voice crackled through. "You don't know who you're messing with. Drop the case, or you'll regret it." The line went dead. Olivia's hands trembled slightly as she set the phone down. "They know." Rosa squared her shoulders. "Let them come. We're not backing down." Looking at Rosa, Olivia felt a surge of gratitude. "I couldn't do this without you." "Funny," Rosa smiled softly. "I was thinking the same about you." As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, they knew there was no turning back. Together, they'd fight not just for James, but for everyone who'd been silenced and overlooked. "Ready to shake things up?" Olivia asked, a determined glint in her eye. "More than ever," Rosa replied. And with that, they began to plan their next move, unaware of just how deep the rabbit hole would go. The morning air was crisp as Olivia and Rosa stepped out into the bustling streets of New York. The city seemed unaware of the storm brewing beneath its surface. Clutching the duffel bag filled with incriminating documents, they made their way to a small cafe tucked away in a quiet corner of Brooklyn. "Are you sure your friend can be trusted?" Olivia asked, her eyes scanning the crowd for any signs of danger. "Absolutely," Rosa assured her. "Sam's been investigating corporate corruption for years. If anyone can help us, it's him." They settled at a corner table when a tall man with a scruffy beard approached them. "Rosa, it's been a while," he greeted, pulling up a chair. "Sam, this is Olivia," Rosa introduced. "She's the lawyer I told you about." Olivia extended her hand. "We need your help." Sam eyed the bag warily. "Rosa mentioned you have something big." Olivia nodded, spreading the documents out. As Sam sifted through them, his expression shifted from skepticism to astonishment. "This is explosive," he whispered. "Can you get this out there?" Rosa asked. Sam leaned back, deep in thought. "I can write the story, but we'll need more. Testimonies, corroborations. TechNova has a lot of influence. They'll try to bury this." Olivia considered this. "What if we get statements from other employees? People who've been wronged?" Rosa hesitated. "Many are scared. They won't speak up easily." "Maybe not alone," Olivia said, determination settling in. "But together, we might stand a chance." Over the next few days, they reached out to current and former TechNova employees. Stories of harassment, wrongful terminations, and unethical practices poured in. Each account added weight to their cause. Meanwhile, Olivia prepared for James' upcoming court hearing. Armed with new evidence, she felt more confident, but knew they weren't out of the woods yet. One evening, as Olivia returned home, she found her apartment door slightly ajar. Her pulse quickened. She pushed the door open cautiously. Inside, the place was ransacked. Papers strewn everywhere, drawers pulled out, and her laptop missing. She dialed Rosa immediately. "They've been here," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We need to be careful," Rosa replied. "Maybe stay somewhere else for a while." Olivia agreed. She grabbed a few essentials and headed to a motel on the outskirts of the city. The following day at the courthouse, Olivia spotted James in the holding area. His face lit up upon seeing her. "Any news?" he asked hopefully. "We're getting closer," she assured him. "Stay strong a little longer." As she left, a man in a dark suit approached her. "Miss Thompson, a word." "Who are you?" she asked, eyeing him warily. "Just someone interested in making this whole situation go away," he said smoothly. "Name your price." Olivia felt a surge of anger. "Are you trying to bribe me?" "Think of it as a mutually beneficial arrangement," he replied. "You drop the case and everyone walks away happy." She stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. "Justice isn't for sale. Tell your bosses I'll see them in court." The man's friendly demeanor faded. "Careful, Miss Thompson. You don't want to make powerful enemies." "That's a risk I'm willing to take," she shot back. That night, gathered in Sam's cramped office, they reviewed the compiled testimonies. "This is enough to blow the lid off TechNova," Sam said excitedly. "But we need to act fast," Olivia urged. "They're on to us." Suddenly, the power went out, plunging the room into darkness. "What's happening?" Rosa whispered. A crash sounded from downstairs. "They're here," Sam hissed. "We need to get out now." They scrambled towards the back exit, navigating the building by the faint glow of emergency lights. Inside, the alley was shrouded in shadows. "This way," Sam motioned. As they ran, headlights flashed and a black van screeched to a halt ahead of them. Men in suits emerged. "Split up," Olivia shouted. She and Rosa darted down a side street while Sam took another route. The sounds of footsteps and shouts echoed behind them. Turning a corner, they ducked into a crowded subway station. The throng of commuters provided cover as they blended into the mass of people. Catching her breath on the train, Olivia looked at Rosa. "This is getting dangerous." Rosa nodded solemnly. "But we can't stop now." Back at the motel, they regrouped. "We need to make this public immediately," Olivia said. "If we go live with the story, they can't silence us." Sam agreed over a secure call. "I'll publish everything tonight. By morning, the world will know." True to his word, the exposé hit the newsstands and online platforms the next day. Headlines screamed of TechNova's corruption, the wrongful accusation of James Harris, and the brave efforts of those who stood against corporate tyranny. The public outcry was swift. Social media erupted with calls for justice. Under immense pressure, authorities launched an official investigation into TechNova. At the courthouse, the atmosphere was charged. Olivia presented the new evidence, and with the weight of public support, the judge had no choice but to dismiss the charges against James. James embraced Olivia, tears in his eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," she smiled. "Just take care of your daughter." As they stepped outside, reporters swarmed them. Cameras flashed, microphones thrust forward. "Miss Thompson, how does it feel to take down a giant?" one asked. "We didn't take down anyone," she replied. "We stood up for what's right, and we'll keep doing so." Amidst the chaos, Olivia spotted the man in the dark suit watching from a distance, his expression unreadable. Their eyes met, and he gave a slight nod before disappearing into the crowd. Rosa joined her side. "We did it," she said softly. "Yes, we did," Olivia agreed, feeling a mix of relief and triumph. But she knew this was just the beginning. There were many more battles to fight, injustices to confront. And with allies like Rosa and Sam, she felt ready to face whatever came next. As the sun set over the city skyline, casting a golden glow, Olivia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shadows might be long, but together they could shine a light strong enough to pierce the darkness. The morning after the exposé, Olivia woke to a flood of messages and missed calls. Her face was all over the news. Some hailed her as a hero, others painted her as a reckless troublemaker. Sitting at her small kitchen table, she sipped her coffee, the aroma mingling with the faint sounds of traffic outside. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her firm's senior partner, Mr. Reynolds. "Olivia, we need to talk." His voice was stern over the line. She arrived at the firm's towering glass building, the usual hustle subdued. Colleagues avoided her gaze as she walked through the hallways. In the conference room, Mr. Reynolds stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. "Your actions have put the firm in a precarious position," he began without turning around. "I did what was right," Olivia replied calmly. He faced her, concern etched in his features. "Right or not, you've made powerful enemies. TechNova is threatening to sue for defamation. We're expected to distance ourselves from you." "You're firing me?" she asked, a mix of disbelief and resignation. "I'm sorry, Olivia. The board voted unanimously," he said softly. "But off the record, I'm proud of you." She nodded, a weight lifting off her shoulders. "Thank you for everything." Leaving the firm, Olivia felt a strange mix of loss and liberation. The sun warmed her face as she stepped onto the sidewalk. Her career as she knew it was over, but a new path lay ahead. Later that day, she met with James and his daughter Emily at a local park. Emily laughed as she chased pigeons, her brown curls bouncing. "Daddy says you're the reason he came home," Emily said, her eyes bright. Olivia smiled. "Your dad did most of the work." James looked at her gratefully. "I can't thank you enough. If there's anything I can do." "Actually," Olivia began thoughtfully, "there is. I'm starting something new, and I could use your help." They discussed her idea of creating a legal aid organization focused on helping those without a voice, people like James and Rosa who were often overlooked. "Count me in," James agreed enthusiastically. As days turned into weeks, they worked tirelessly to establish the foundation. Rosa joined them, bringing invaluable insight into the struggles of everyday workers. Sam continued his investigative journalism, partnering with them to expose injustices. One afternoon, while setting up their modest office space, a refurbished community center donated by a local philanthropist, Rosa approached Olivia. "There's someone here to see you," she said, a hint of mystery in her tone. Olivia walked to the front to find Mr. Reynolds waiting. "Mr. Reynolds? What brings you here?" He extended a folder to her. "I did some soul-searching after you left. Consider this a contribution to your cause." She opened the folder to find a generous donation and a list of contacts, other lawyers, activists, and donors willing to support her mission. "I can't accept this," she protested. "You can and you will," he insisted gently. "The world needs more people like you, Olivia." Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. "Thank you. This means more than you know." As their organization gained momentum, they started making real changes, winning cases, advocating for policy reforms, and giving hope to those who had none. One evening, after a long day, Olivia sat on a bench outside the office, the city lights twinkling like stars. Sam joined her, handing her a cup of tea. "To think this all started because you decided to play janitor," he teased. She laughed softly. "Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty to clean up a mess." Sam grew serious. You know, you've made a lot of sacrifices. Maybe, she acknowledged, but I've gained so much more. He looked at her thoughtfully. So what's next for the unstoppable Olivia Thompson? She gazed into the distance. I want to take this nationwide. There are so many stories like James's out there. Sam grinned. In that case, I better clear my schedule. Just then, a familiar melody floated through the air. A soft tune played on a violin nearby. Olivia turned to see Emily standing with her instrument, the notes carrying a sense of hope and renewal. She's been practicing, James said, joining them. Wanted to surprise you. The music stirred something deep within Olivia, a reminder of why she started this journey. As the last notes faded, applause erupted from passers-by who had stopped to listen. That was beautiful, Emily, Olivia praised. Emily beamed. I played it just for you. Feeling a tap on her shoulder, Olivia turned to see Rosa holding a small cake adorned with candles. We wanted to celebrate, Rosa said. Celebrate what? Olivia asked, surprised. They all chimed in unison. Emotion welled up inside her. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep fighting, James encouraged. Because we're with you all the way. She looked around at the faces of her newfound family. People brought together by chance and adversity, now united in purpose. I will, she promised, her voice steady. This is just the beginning. As they shared cake under the city skyline, Olivia felt a profound sense of belonging. The challenges they'd faced had forged unbreakable bonds. They were more than colleagues or friends. They were a community. Meanwhile, across town, in a dimly lit office, the man in the dark suit, Mr. Sullivan, met with TechNova's disgraced executives. We underestimated her, one grumbled. Sullivan smirked. Perhaps, but every setback is an opportunity. What do you suggest? Another asked. Invest, Sullivan replied smoothly. Support her cause publicly. Align ourselves with reform. It's good for business. They exchanged skeptical glances. Why help the person who took us down? Because adaptation is key to survival, he said. And redemption has its benefits. Back at the park a few days later, Olivia received a letter bearing TechNova's logo. Inside was a formal apology and a substantial donation to her organization, along with a request for a meeting. What do you make of this? She asked Sam. Could be a PR stunt, he cautioned. Or maybe they're genuinely trying to change. Either way, we should hear them out, James suggested. Agreeing to the meeting, Olivia entered the TechNova building once more, this time welcomed openly. Mr. Sullivan greeted her. Miss Thompson, thank you for coming, he began. We want to make amends. She studied him carefully. Actions speak louder than words. Agreed, he said. We've initiated internal reforms and would like your input. Why the sudden change of heart? She challenged. Let's just say you've been inspiring, Sullivan admitted. Olivia considered his proposal. I'll help, but on my terms. Transparency, accountability, and real impact. Deal, he said, extending his hand. As she left the building, Olivia felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe people could change. Maybe even the darkest places could find light. That evening, she rejoined her team. Looks like we have more work ahead, she announced. Wouldn't have it any other way, Rosa laughed. They stood together, overlooking the city, a tapestry of countless lives and stories waiting to be heard. Olivia took a deep breath. To justice, to change, and to us. To us, they echoed, raising imaginary glasses. In that moment, surrounded by people who shared her vision, Olivia knew they could make a difference. The road ahead was long, but with courage and unity, anything was possible. As the stars emerged one by one, the city alive with possibility, their journey continued, each step a ripple, creating waves of transformation far beyond what they could see. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Olivia's organization, now officially named Voices for Justice, was gaining traction. They had won several cases, and their hotline was flooded with calls from people seeking help. The media spotlighted their efforts, and public support was growing. One afternoon, as Olivia reviewed case files, Rosa walked into the office with a concerned expression. We have a problem, she said, handing Olivia a newspaper. The headline read, TechNova partners with Voices for Justice, genuine support or strategic move. The article suggested that TechNova's involvement might be a ploy to improve their public image rather than a sincere effort to reform. Olivia frowned. I knew their sudden change was too good to be true, she murmured. Sam entered the room, his face grim. I've been digging, he said. Turns out TechNova is facing a major lawsuit overseas. They're using their partnership with us to clean up their image internationally. Olivia felt a surge of frustration. So they're exploiting our work for their benefit? Looks like it, Sam confirmed. And it gets worse. They're still engaging in unethical practices, just better at hiding them. Rosa shook her head. We can't let them use us like this. Determined to confront the issue, Olivia scheduled a meeting with Mr. Sullivan at TechNova. Sitting across from him in the sleek conference room, she didn't mince words. I know what you're doing, she stated. You're using our organization to cover up your ongoing misconduct. Mr. Sullivan sighed. Olivia, you have to understand. It's complicated. The business world isn't black and white. Save it, she retorted. Either you're genuinely committed to change, or you're not. We won't be part of a PR stunt. He leaned forward, his tone cold. Be careful, Miss Thompson. You don't want to make new enemies. She met his gaze steadily. I won't compromise my principles. Consider our partnership over. As she left the building, Olivia couldn't shake the uneasy feeling settling in her stomach. Back at the office, she gathered her team. We need to distance ourselves from TechNova immediately, she announced. Already drafting the press release, Sam said. Over the next few days, they publicly severed ties with TechNova, making it clear they wouldn't tolerate deceit. Public reaction was mixed. Some admired their integrity, while others questioned their judgment. Then, strange things started happening. Donors withdrew support without explanation. Permits for their events were suddenly revoked. Online, trolls began spreading rumors to discredit Olivia and her team. One evening, as Olivia worked late, the office lights flickered and went out. The room plunged into darkness. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Hello, she called out, her voice steady despite the knot of fear tightening in her chest. A shadowy figure appeared in the doorway. You should have stayed in your lane, the man said quietly. Olivia recognized him. It was the same man who had tried to bribe her outside the courthouse months ago. What do you want? She demanded. To offer you one last chance, he replied. Stop meddling in affairs beyond your understanding. She squared her shoulders. Not a chance. He sighed. Suit yourself. He turned and disappeared into the darkness. Shaken but undeterred, Olivia knew they were being targeted. She called an emergency meeting with her team the next morning. We're under attack, she said. Someone is trying to shut us down. James nodded. My contacts at the community center said they've been pressured to evict us. Rosa added, people are scared to be associated with us. Sam leaned forward. We need to expose whoever is behind this. Olivia took a deep breath. It's time to take a stand. We'll organize a public rally, bring together everyone we've helped, and show that we won't be silenced. Preparations began immediately. They reached out to allies, community leaders, and the media. Word spread quickly, and support poured in. On the day of the rally, the plaza was filled with people holding signs and banners. Olivia took the stage, her heart pounding. Looking out at the crowd, she saw faces filled with hope and determination. Thank you all for being here, she began. We started Voices for Justice to help those who felt unheard, unseen. Today, we face intimidation, but we won't back down. Cheers erupted from the crowd. She continued, there are those who wish to maintain the status quo, who benefit from silence and fear. But together, we are stronger than any one corporation or shadowy figure. As she spoke, she noticed Mr. Sullivan standing at the edge of the crowd, watching intently. Their eyes met, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his expression. After the rally, Olivia approached him. Change your mind? She asked. He shook his head. You're making a mistake. No, she replied firmly. I'm making a difference. He sighed. You leave me no choice. That night, a fire broke out at their office. Flames engulfed the building, destroying everything inside. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the message was clear. The next morning, standing in front of the smoldering remains, Olivia felt a wave of despair. They've taken everything, she whispered. Rosa put a hand on her shoulder. Not everything. We still have each other. James stepped forward. And the people? Look. Turning around, Olivia saw a crowd gathering, clients, supporters, volunteers, all coming to offer help. We can rebuild, Sam said. They can't destroy what we stand for. Moved by the outpouring of solidarity, Olivia nodded. You're right. They can burn down a building, but they can't extinguish our spirit. News of the fire and the community's response spread rapidly. Donations and support came in from all over the country. Offers of new office space, resources, and assistance flooded in. Faced with a surge of public sympathy for Voices for Justice, the forces opposing them began to falter. Investigations were launched into the fire, and evidence pointed toward foul play connected to TechNova. Under intense scrutiny, Mr. Sullivan was arrested, and a deeper conspiracy within TechNova was unveiled. Executives resigned, and the company faced severe legal repercussions. As the dust settled, Olivia and her team found themselves stronger than ever. They secured a new headquarters, and their mission continued with renewed vigor. One evening, as they gathered to celebrate their perseverance, Olivia raised a glass. To resilience, she toasted. To standing up against injustice, no matter the cost. To the power of community, Rosa added. To friendship, James smiled. To making a real difference, Sam concluded. They clinked glasses, the future bright before them. The sun rose over New York City, casting a golden hue across the skyline. Olivia stood on the rooftop of their new headquarters, a renovated warehouse in the heart of Brooklyn. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of fresh beginnings. Below, the city buzzed with life, unaware of the significant day ahead. Lost in thought? Sam's voice broke the silence as he joined her, 2 steaming cups of coffee in hand. She smiled, accepting the cup. Just reflecting on how far we've come. Well, you deserve a moment to soak it all in, he said, leaning on the railing. Today's the big launch. Voices for Justice was hosting its inaugural national conference, bringing together activists, lawyers, and community leaders from across the country. What started as a small team was now a movement, ignited by their resilience and shared vision. Inside, the space was abuzz with activity. Volunteers set up booths, adjusted sound systems, and arranged seating. Rosa directed the flow with her usual grace, her laughter infectious as she guided newcomers. James approached Olivia, a nervous excitement in his eyes. Emily's ready for her performance, he said. She's been practicing non-stop. Olivia's face lit up. I can't wait to hear her. As attendees filled the venue, Olivia took the stage to a warm round of applause. She gazed out at the diverse crowd, faces filled with hope, determination, and unity. Welcome everyone, she began, her voice steady yet emotive. When we started this journey, we faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable. But standing here today, I see proof that together, we can overcome anything. She shared stories of their struggles and triumphs, each word resonating deeply. Our mission is not just about fighting injustice, she continued. It's about empowering each other, building communities where everyone has a voice. As she concluded, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes, the magnitude of the moment washing over her. Now, I'd like to introduce someone very special, she announced. A young lady who reminds us why we do what we do, Emily Harris. Emily stepped onto the stage, violin in hand. The room fell silent as she began to play the familiar melody that had become a symbol of their journey, a song of hope and resilience. The hauntingly beautiful notes filled the air, touching every heart in the room. As she played, images of their past struggles flashed in Olivia's mind. The late nights, the threats, the fire, but also the moments of joy, the friendships forged, and the lives changed. The music swelled, culminating in a powerful crescendo that left the audience breathless. When Emily finished, the silence was broken by thunderous applause. James hugged his daughter tightly as she beamed with pride. Later, as the conference continued with workshops and discussions, Olivia wandered outside to catch her breath. She found Rosa sitting on a bench under a blossoming cherry tree. Quite the day, Rosa said, her eyes reflecting the pink blossoms above. More than I ever imagined. Olivia agreed, sitting beside her. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Rosa took her hand gently. You had the courage to start. We just followed your lead. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Rosa spoke softly. You know, I've been thinking about going back to school, maybe studying social work. Olivia's face brightened. That's wonderful. You would be amazing. Rosa smiled. You've shown me that it's never too late to chase your dreams. Just then, Sam approached with an excited expression. You two need to see this. He led them back inside to where a television crew was setting up. They're here to do a feature on us. Prime time, he explained. The reporter approached Olivia. "Miss Thompson, your organization has inspired so many. What's next for Voices for Justice?" She considered the question thoughtfully. "We plan to expand our outreach programs, partner with schools, and continue advocating for policy changes. But most importantly, we want to empower individuals to stand up for themselves and others." The interview went smoothly, and as the crew packed up, the reporter said, "Your story is truly inspiring. Thank you for your time." As evening fell, the conference concluded with a candlelight vigil honoring those who had suffered injustices. The soft glow of candles illuminated faces united in purpose. Olivia took the stage one last time. "Tonight we honor the past but look forward to the future. Let this light symbolize our commitment to justice and compassion." The crowd raised their candles, a sea of flickering hope. Afterward, as the attendees dispersed, Olivia found herself alone on the stage. James approached, his hands in his pockets. "Quite the sight, wasn't it?" he remarked. "Absolutely," she agreed. "It's moments like this that make everything worthwhile." He hesitated before speaking. "I wanted to tell you, I've decided to pursue law. You've inspired me to help others the way you helped me." Olivia's eyes widened. "James, that's incredible. You'll make a fantastic lawyer." He smiled sheepishly. "It's a bit daunting, but if I've learned anything, it's that the hardest paths often lead to the most rewarding destinations." She nodded. "I couldn't agree more." As they locked up the venue, Sam handed Olivia a letter that had arrived earlier. "It's from TechNova," he said cautiously. She opened it to find a formal apology from the new management, along with a check, a donation to Voices for Justice. "Do you think they're sincere this time?" Sam asked. Olivia folded the letter thoughtfully. "I think people can change, but trust is earned. We'll use this to further our mission, but we'll keep a vigilant eye." Walking outside, the night air was cool, the city lights shimmering like stars fallen to earth. Rosa joined them, wrapping a scarf around her shoulders. "Feels like the end of a chapter," she mused. "Or the beginning of a new one," Olivia added. They stood together, the trio that had become family through shared trials and triumphs. "To new beginnings," James said, extending his hand. "To making a difference," Rosa agreed, placing her hand atop his. "To us," Olivia concluded, adding hers to the stack. They laughed, the sound carrying into the night. As they parted ways, Olivia walked home, the weight of the day's events settling into a comforting warmth. Passing by a street musician playing a familiar tune, she paused. The melody was the same one Emily had played, a song that had woven its way through their lives, symbolizing hope and unity. She dropped a few coins into the musician's case. "Beautiful song," she commented. He smiled. "It speaks to the soul, doesn't it?" "It truly does," she agreed, continuing on her way. Reaching her apartment, Olivia looked out over the city, the sprawling metropolis filled with countless stories, each one a thread in the fabric of humanity. She thought about all the people they had yet to help, the challenges that awaited, and felt a surge of determination. Her phone buzzed with a new message. It was from an unknown number. "Thank you for not giving up. You give us all hope." She smiled, typing a quick reply. "Together, we can create the change we wish to see." Setting the phone down, Olivia knew that while their journey had been fraught with obstacles, it had also been filled with profound connections and victories. The shadows they'd faced only made the light shine brighter. Climbing into bed, she allowed herself a moment of contentment. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but she was ready. Surrounded by friends who had become family and a community united in purpose, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. As sleep enveloped her, the city's hum became a soothing lullaby, a testament to life, resilience, and the endless possibilities that awaited with the dawn of a new day. What a story, right? But if you think Emily's night at the fire was intense, you won't believe what happens next. She's about to uncover a secret that changes everything about her father's disappearance. Don't miss out. Click on the video right here to find out what happens.